I just want to read this segment of a piece by Laura Jedeed. Not quite sure. She served in Afghanistan. She's a writer and a videographer. I'm not quite sure where you can find her stuff, but she has a Medium, I think it is. Jedeed. And she talks about it. This just really stuck out with me in terms of, from the perspective of a U.S. military person, as to, you know, sort of just the absolute quagmire, I guess you could say. She writes, I remember finding propaganda footage cut together from the Soviet invasion and our own Operation Enduring Whatever. I remember laughing at how stupid the Afghans were to not know that we weren't Russians, and then eventually realizing I was the stupid one. I remember how every year the U.S. would have to decide how to deal with the opium fields. There were a few options. You could leave the fields alone, and then the Taliban would shake the farmers down and use the money to buy weapons. Or you could carpet bomb the fields, and then the farmers would join the Taliban for reasons that, to me, seem obvious. The third option, and the one we went for a while I was there, was to give the farmers fertilizer as an incentive to grow wheat instead of opium poppy. The farmers then sold the fertilizer to the Taliban, who used it to make explosive for IEDs that could destroy $1 million MRAP and maim everyone inside. I remember we weren't allowed to throw batteries away because the people who worked on base would go through the trash and collect hundreds of dead batteries, wire them together so they had just enough juice for one charge, and use that charge to detonate an IED. I mean, the idea that there is, like, I mean, that to me is, like, you know, probably the best sort of like encapsulation of at least the futility of whatever it is that we were supposedly going to do over there, you know, regardless of what set of ambitions anybody had as to whether they were going to build a society or, I don't know, conquer the Afghani people, whatever it was. And this is, you know, as futile as that sounds, you know, the dismal part is on the other end of things for the Afghani people.
Yeah, you say the word ambition, and I think, you know, there's a lot of time that's going to be spent on blaming the political leaders that led us here, and I think that's all worthwhile. I think the military needs an awful lot of attention too, and the way that just the complete anti-democratic monstrosity it became, like just matter-of-factly saying we co-opted the media in the run-up to Iraq and that time, like that's just part of that's their business, right? It's their job to do that. It's their job to tell a new president that, like, give them only a limited number of options, which are all like increasing their footprint in a certain place like that. Like our military is completely out of control, and I think like that, like the ambition is different guys like Petraeus or McChrystal or the Flynns, right? Like their ambition gets just scars an entire country.
I mean that's right. You know, it's just a really horrible corporation, and with you know, the exact same sort of, you know, but the same dynamics, where, you know, there is some semblance of like a broad sense of survival for the corporation is important so that I can move up in that corporation. But beyond that, that's it. And so the survival of the corporation is also a function of what's going to be in the best interest of my ascendancy within that corporation. And so every decision that follows becomes that. We're going to train these people in a way so that they need me. And
yeah, exactly.
And that's and you know that
but
and
by the way, too, speaking of like those arms we gave to the Afghan troops without really, you know, training them to be self-sufficient with it, those are in the Taliban's hands now.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. I mean,
Yeah, they took a lot of stuff. It's unclear like how much of it they'll be able to use. They'll be able to learn some of it. There's no reason to believe that they're going to be able to use too much of it unless, of course, that they end up finding the people who were trained on them in the first place.
But way to, kind of bookend. Well, it's probably not over.
You don't want to bring that back.
At least in theory, though, right? We gave our arms to the Mujahideen, and now indirectly we've given them back.
Right. Well, you don't want to bring those back because then you wouldn't be able to buy any new ones.
That's true. They're just mysteriously gone.
It's like any other corporation, right? You spend, your department. If you don't spend all of your budget at the end of the Q4, you're going to get it's going to get rolled back in the following fiscal year. So you got to get all that stuff out the door.
Well, now it's like what we did under Bush during the Gulf War, right? We can sell to both sides.
Exactly.
We can sell to the Afghan. Well, no, it's taken over by the Taliban, but whenever the next other side emerges.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.